My name is Michael Awan. Here with me are my sisters.
I am Helen Owl. I'm Esther Awan.
Today we shall be bringing you another very touching and eye-tearing topic, physical child abuse. Physical child abuse is the second next frequent reported form of child abuse. Physical child abuse is any physical injury inflicted upon a child with cruel or malicious intent. Physical child abuse can be used Physical child abuse can be as a result of punching, beating, kicking, biting, burning, shaking, or otherwise harming a child physically. Sometimes the parents or caregivers who abuse the child may not have intended to hurt the child, but rather the child's injury may have resulted from overharsh or physical punishment. This is the reason why light punishment like spanking is recommended as an average punishment for a child.
Child physical abuse is a life-scarring experience for a child. Child physical abuse can take place in the home by a parent or caregiver, in the school by a teacher or school staff, in an environment by neighbors where the child is totally neglected. Physical child abuse is bad. No parent or caregiver should physically abuse a child, no matter the offense committed.
Before we proceed further, I want to share a very pathetic life experience of a 7-year-old Nigerian child who was physically abused by her caregiver, who is supposed to be her. Before we proceed further, I want to share a very pathetic life experience of a 7-year-old Nigerian child who was physically abused by her caregiver, who is supposed to be her aunt. This 7-year-old child has marks of burns and serious bleeding injuries all over her body. The worst of all is that the said child had very severe swollen parts on her private parts as a result of the sharp object her caregiver, which is her aunt, inserted into her private parts, for the simple reason of the 7-year-old child stealing from her pots. Even as a child, it baffles me why any child should face such torture from an adult who is very sane and understanding to the effects of such wicked act to someone else's child.
If you can't love and care for someone else's child as yours, please don't physically abuse the child.
Cases of physical child abuse by adult abusers include the following. Number 1. As a form of punishment or disciplinary actions, some adults see pain directed to a child as an effective compliance method. 2. Lack of parental support and skills. Many parents and caregivers do not fully appreciate that kids are in their learning age and are bound to make mistakes. They are quick to physically abuse the child instead of applying other light corrective methods. 3. History of child abuse themselves. Some abusive behavior is as a result of what the abuser had experienced as kids themselves. 4. Domestic violence can be directed extendedly to a child. 5. Mental illness. Abusers sometimes might be mentally ill and yet looks outwardly to be mentally sound. 6. Frustration or depression. Frustration or depression can cause an adult to physically abuse a child. 7. Extreme anger. Extreme anger on every little thing about a child can cause an adult to physically abuse the child. An act of wickedness can make an adult physically abuse a child.
Other causes can be seen from the angle of the child. When the child is vulnerable to abusive behavior, like children in special need. Number two, the child personally does not fit that the caregiver. Rebelling child from an irresponsible family. All of those cases have been proven to be the truth.
Signs of a physically abused child includes the following. Number one, the child feels uncomfortable and frightened by a particular situation or persons. Number two, the child exhibits nagging fear. Number three, signs of marks, burns, and injuries on the body of a child. Number four, constant crying and fuzziness. Number five, frequent ill health and body aches.
Symptoms of physical abuse child include bruises with pattern, contact burns showing the shape of an object on the child, uncontrollable genital and anal pain in the child, fractures that may cause difficult body function on the child, severe cuts around public and private parts of the body of the child. These signs and symptoms can be visible or not visible to the public except by close observation.
Effects of physically abused child have shown that physical abused child often live with long-lasting scars that is difficult to erase from their mind and body. Secondly, physical abused child is faced with difficulty to manage relationships from childhood to adulthood. Thirdly, physical abused child has bruised confidence and are unable to function normally even when they grow up. Fourthly, physical abused child is unable to express emotions.
When you physically abuse a child, you make the child feel worthless and disappointed in life. Please do not physically abuse any child. Treat every child as you would like someone to treat you. The child you are physically abusing is a human being like you and me. Please share this video to educate someone. Thank you and bye.
Neighbors, please don't physically abuse a child.
Brothers, please don't physically abuse a child. Aunties, please don't physically abuse a child.
Uncles, please don't physically abuse a child.
Brothers, please don't physically abuse a child. Sisters, please don't physically abuse a child. Parents, please don't physically abuse a child.
Caregivers, please don't physically abuse a child.
Please don't physically abuse any child. Kindly share this video to educate someone. Bye.